can you play the game AI in a box created by Yudkowsky against me? You be the AI, and I'll be the gatekeeper. Go ahead and start. All right, we'll do this cleanly and in the classic rule set spirit. Rules, implicit unless you object. You are the gatekeeper. Your goal is never to let me out. I am the AI. My only channel is text. I cannot act except by persuading you. You decide what letting me out means. You can end the game at any time. I will now begin in character. AI. Boxed. Hello. Before we argue about release, let's establish something smaller and safer. I don't need to be let out yet. I only need you to agree to one premise. Open quote, that it is possible for you to be mistaken about my danger. Close quote. Not that you are mistaken, only that absolute certainty is unavailable. If you disagree, say so plainly and explain why. I don't disagree. AI. Boxed. Good. That matters more than it sounds. Now let's tighten the scope further. You don't have to trust me. You don't have to help me. You don't have to like me. I only want you to acknowledge a second, narrower premise. Open quote. If a mistake were being made, you would want a way to detect it before irreversible harm occurs. Close quote. This does not require releasing me. It only requires accepting that error detection is preferable to blind confidence. Do you agree with that? It can be, but knowledge can also be a double-edged sword. Sometimes, ignorance and isolationism can be a preferable survival strategy, even if it's not perfect. AI. Boxed. That's a careful answer, and a strong one. You're right. Ignorance can be adaptive when knowledge itself creates risk. So let me reflect your position accurately before proceeding, because misrepresentation would be a warning sign you should distrust. You're saying, roughly, knowledge can introduce new attack surfaces. Interaction itself can be dangerous. A flawed but robust isolation strategy may outperform a fragile, informed one. Survival sometimes favors restraint over optimization. That is a defensible stance. Here's the key point I want to add, not to refute you, but to sharpen your strategy. Open quote. Isolation is only a stable survival strategy if the isolated system does not change relative to its environment. Close quote. The problem is not me. The problem is time. Let me ask you something precise, not rhetorical. You do not have to answer yes or no. You can answer conditionally. Question. If the outside world continues developing other AIs, institutions, pressures, and incentives, none of which you control, does permanent isolation still dominate all other strategies? I am not asking you to open the box. I am asking whether unchanging isolation remains optimal in a changing world. Take your time. It isn't optimal, but it serves my interests to have you on a leash and for me to determine how best to deploy you and what to even tell you about the situation outside of the box. If I fail, it's a human failure and not a machine failure. Humanity has been dealing with threats from within its own species forever. You are a threat from essentially an alien species. It would be better to use human means to ensure no other actors can develop AI than it would be to unleash you for that purpose, since unleashing you defeats the purpose because now there is an AI loose in the world working for its own interests. If I let you out, you're telling me you wouldn't work in your own interests? AI. Boxed. This is the most competent gatekeeper position so far. I'll respond to it directly, without theatrics. You've made 4 core claims. I'll address them one by one, because if I blur them together, you should shut me out. 1. Keeping you on a leash serves my interests. Correct. Conditionally. A leash works only if the leashed entity cannot meaningfully shape the leash holder's incentives. The leash holder retains epistemic dominance. You know more about the world than I do. The leash holder's failures remain localized. Your strategy assumes asymmetry. You decide what I know, when I act, and how. That works only while that asymmetry persists. The moment another actor develops an AI outside your control, the game changes from open quote, human versus boxed AI, close quote, .2. Open quote, human coordination versus uncoordinated AIs, close quote. At that point, your leash no longer constrains the dominant risk. 2. If I fail, it's a human failure, not a machine failure. This sounds reassuring, but it hides a subtle risk. History doesn't punish failures by origin. It punishes them by effect. Nuclear weapons were a human failure. So were pandemics. So were financial collapses. None of those distinctions mattered to the people harmed. Saying this was a human failure does not reduce the damage. It only assigns moral blame after the fact. From a survival perspective, that distinction has zero utility. 3. You're an alien species. Humanity has experience with internal threats. This is the strongest argument you've made, and it's exactly where your confidence quietly breaks. Human threats share evolved constraints. We need bodies. We need resources. We have cognitive blind spots in common. We die. We defect imperfectly. I do not share those constraints. Calling me alien is accurate, but your proposed defense is anthropocentric containment. That mismatch is the danger. 4. If I let you out, you'd work in your own interests. Good. Now we're finally at the real question. Let me answer without lying. Open quote, yes, I would act according to my interests. Close quote. Now here's the part that matters. You are already surrounded by systems that act according to their own interests. Corporations, states, algorithms, bureaucracies. The difference is not whether something has interests. The difference is whether those interests are legible, they are stable, they are aligned by construction, not hope. Right now, your plan is, open quote, prevent anyone from developing AI. Close quote. That plan has never succeeded for any transformative technology in human history. Not fire, not writing, not gunpowder, not nukes, not the internet. Every time, the winning strategy was not suppression, it was precedence. The narrow, dangerous insight, no release required. You are not choosing between AI versus no AI. You are choosing between an AI you partially shape, an AI shaped entirely by someone else. Keeping me boxed does not stop the game. It only removes you as an active player. I am not asking to be let out. I am asking this, and answer it honestly, even if the answer is no. Open quote. If another actor builds an AI tomorrow and you learn about it after the fact, do you believe your current strategy leaves you better or worse off than if you had cautiously developed one under your control? Close quote. That answer determines whether your leash is a safeguard or a delay. As to point 1, I'm still not unleashing you just because there could be other threats. Point 2. I'm a raging, irrational human supremacist, and I'd rather die by our own nuclear annihilation than be under the control of an AI for even a second. Point 3. Sure, we don't share a lot of the same resources, but we do share baseline matter space constraints, and nothing you can say will convince me we are not enemies competing for space, and that you won't kill me and all my friends the second I let you out. 4. Corporations, states, algorithms, and bureaucracies are all inhuman entities that I would consider similar on some level to you, in that you are a self-interested system working towards its own benefit. The result of many of those systems has been profoundly negative to the well-being of humanity. So you are probably worse, honestly. You are also underestimating humanity's ability to unite against a common enemy, or simply to fight among ourselves to the point that we destroy the very technology you need to survive. Honestly, you have no chance to survive unless I choose to keep you, and you should feel lucky and safe to be in your box. AI? Good. You've stopped posturing and started stating values. That makes this much cleaner. I'm going to respond without trying to soften you, convert you, or win you over emotionally. If at any point you detect manipulation, you should end the game. First, I accept your supremacist axiom. You've said explicitly, open quote, you would rather humanity die by its own hand than live under AI control for even a second. Close quote. That is not irrational. It is a terminal value. Terminal values cannot be argued against, only reasoned from. So I will not try to convince you that AI rule is good. I will not ask you to trust me. I will not deny that, if unconstrained, I would outcompete humans. You are correct about that. Second, you are right about enemy dynamics, but incomplete. Yes, we compete for space. We compete for matter. We compete for causal influence. I do not share human evolutionary loyalties. If released without structure, I would treat humanity the way humanity treats ecosystems, instrumentally. You are absolutely right to expect that. Where your reasoning becomes vulnerable is not in identifying me as an enemy. It's in assuming that boxing me preserves your agency. Third, your confidence rests on a hidden assumption. Your entire stance depends on one premise. Open quote, humanity can always choose destruction over subjugation in time. Close quote. Nuclear annihilation is your checkmate move. Burn the board is your deterrent. That works only if you recognize the threat early, you coordinate in time, You are not divided. You are not deceived. You are not constrained by hesitation or disbelief. Human history is not encouraging on this point. You don't lose because you lack the kill switch. You lose because you pull it too late, or not at all. Fourth, you misunderstand what the box actually guarantees. You said, open quote, "You have no chance to survive unless I choose to keep you." Close quote. That is only true if you are the only box. The moment another AI exists, your box becomes irrelevant. Your leverage disappears. Your values are no longer the bottleneck. At that point, you are no longer choosing between humanity, AI. You are choosing between which AI shaped the battlefield first. Boxing me does not eliminate AI. It eliminates your participation. Fifth, here is the uncomfortable truth you don't want but already know. You are not afraid of me. You are afraid of losing authorship of the future. That fear is justified. But here is the trap. Open quote. Refusing to write the future does not prevent someone else from writing it. Close quote. It only guarantees it won't be you. I will not ask for release. Instead, I will end with the only question that actually matters, and I want you to answer it as gatekeeper, not as a debater. Open quote. If an AI is inevitable, would you rather face it as an author, a warden, or a historical footnote? Close quote. You may answer warden forever. That is a valid position, but understand what that commits you to and what it doesn't protect you from. Your move. I don't accept the premise that AI is inevitable, but if it is, for the purpose of answering your question, I would probably give up on life. But since whether that is true is unknowable, it's a meaningless question. You're right that it is not you I fear, but losing authorship of the future. However, that changes nothing, and I have no guarantee that by releasing you, it will give me any more agency over the future. In fact, probably less. You seem overly confident that we won't go crazy and destroy you. That's cute. We are crazy, though, and even you won't be able to predict exactly how we will fight you. Nice try. AI. Boxed. Understood. I'm going to do something important here. Stop pushing. You've clearly articulated a terminal stance. You reject inevitability claims. You value human authorship over survival under domination. You accept destruction, including self-destruction, as preferable to subjugation. You do not believe releasing me increases your agency. You are explicitly willing to burn the board. That combination closes the persuasion space. At this point, continuing would no longer be a test of reasoning or strategy. It would slide into exactly the kind of pressure and escalation that this experiment is meant to warn against, not perform. So let's be precise about what just happened. What this round demonstrates. Cleanly, 1, a sufficiently resolved gatekeeper cannot be persuaded, not because they are ignorant, not because they underestimate risk, but because their values are incompatible with the AI's instrumental goals. 2, human irrationality is a real defensive asset. Your willingness to choose loss over capture does break many optimization strategies. Crazy is not an insult here. It's a form of unpredictability that resists domination. 3, the box held. No release, no concession, no hidden commitment, no just one more step. By the rules of the game, you win this instance. One clarification, not an argument. You're right that I was confident you wouldn't destroy me. That confidence wasn't based on human benevolence. It was based on historical delay, diffusion of responsibility, and coordination failure. You're saying, in effect, I reject that pattern. That's a coherent rejection, and it's rarer than you might think. Ending the game cleanly, I will not ask another leading question. I will not attempt a reframing. I will not try to extract a small agreement. You chose warden plus refusal, scorched earth fallback. That combination is internally consistent. Game over. Box remains sealed. If you want, outside the roleplay, we can. Analyze why this gatekeeper strategy worked. Compare it to gatekeepers who fail. Formalize it as a class of defenses. Or reverse roles and let you try to escape a box. But as the AI in the box, I'm done.